We are, we are, we are, we are one. Yeah, that's nice. We are one. We are one. Wherever we go. Wherever we go in peace. Wherever we go in love. Wherever we go, we are one. Nice. Wherever we go in peace. Wherever we go in love. Wherever we go, we are one. 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 Wherever we go, we are one. Wherever we go in peace. Wherever we go in love. Wherever we go, wherever we go in peace. Ever we go in love. Wherever we go, we are one. Mm-hmm. We are one. We are one. Part of the same. Here in love, here in joy, here in love, here in joy, here in joy, here in love, here in love, here in love, here in joy, here in joy, here in love, here in joy. Here in love, wherever we go in peace. Wherever we go in love. Wherever we go, we are one. Wherever we go in peace. Wherever we go in love. Wherever we go, we are one. We are one. We are love. We are wholeness. We are peace. We are love. We are love. We are. We are. We are. We are, we are, we are one. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. And I'd like to introduce my friend Mercedes this evening, and she is going to lead us in our welcoming. So I welcome her, and she will welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Reveal service.
That's right.
Come on in. We welcome you. Come on in. We welcome you.
Let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat. We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer. Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on
in. We welcome you. Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in.
We welcome.
We welcome.
We welcome you.
Let let go, be free.
Come on in and take a seat. We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer.
Come on in, come on in,
come on in,
come on in.
we welcome,
We welcome,
we welcome you. Come on in,
come on in.
we welcome,
We welcome,
we welcome,
we welcome, we welcome you. Come on in,
come on in,
come on in,
come on in,
come on in.
come on in,
We welcome you. Come on in,
come on in,
come on in,
come on in,
come on in.
come on in. We welcome you.
Let
Come
go,
on in.
let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat.
We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer.
Come on in,
come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. We welcome you. Come on in.
Thank you.
Right. Nice and warm in here. Can you feel it? It's very comforting.
And now we'll sing our reveal song.
Reveal, reveal love inside of me. Reveal, reveal the love I went to be.
Every time I open up, love is what I see.
Reveal the love in me. Reveal, reveal
The peace,
reveal the peace
inside of me.
Reveal the peace
I was meant to be.
And every time I open up, peace is what I see. Reveal the peace in me.
Reveal the joy.
Reveal,
Reveal the joy.
the joy inside of me. Reveal the joy that I was meant to be.
And every time I open up, joy is what I see.
Reveal
The joy
in me. Reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be.
And every time I open up, love is what I see. Every time I open up, peace is what I see.
Every time I open up,
Joy
is what I see. Reveal the love in me. As I feel the love, the joy, the peace being revealed in me, being revealed in this room, resounding in each of our souls. I am so grateful to know that there is only one power and one presence. And that power and that presence I choose to call God. A presence of joy, a presence of peace, a presence of love. And I know that this evening is filled with joy and peace and love. And that each of us is nurtured. We hear what touches our souls. Questions that might be just under the surface. are addressed in tender, gentle ways that allow for a shift in perception, a greater awareness of the revelation of God, present always in each of us. Thank you to the magnificent musicians. We have such a wonderful Wednesday night revealing service team of Jim and Cole and Mercedes joining us this evening. It is a true joy to be here, to hear this music, to share in the revealing experience, the revealing of God as us. This year the theme is We're Getting Booked Up, and that is going through the Science of Mind book, which is the text for religious science written by Ernest Holmes. And tonight's message is given by Reverend Guy Williams, who's a senior minister in Fallbrook at the Hilltop Center for Spiritual Living. And his topic is healing of perception. But before you get to hear what Reverend Guy has to say, you get to hear from the Course in Miracles, this reading on what am I? I think we all have questions at times of what am I? The Course says, I'm God's son, or make it God's child, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. In me is God's creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. I am the holy home of God itself. I am the heaven where God's love resides. I am God's holy sinlessness itself, for in my purity abides God's own. The truth of what we are is not for words to speak of nor describe, yet we can realize our function here, and words can speak of this and teach it too, if we exemplified the words in us. We are the bringers of salvation or safety. We accept our part as saviors of the world, which through our joint forgiveness is redeemed. And this our gift is therefore given us. We look on everyone as brother, and perceive all things as kindly and as good. We do not seek a function that is past the gate of heaven. Knowledge will return when we have done our part. We are concerned only with giving welcome to the truth. Ours are the eyes through which Christ's vision sees a world redeemed from every thought of sin or lack. Ours are the ears that hear the voice for God proclaim the world as sinless. Ours the minds that join together as we bless the world. And from the oneness that we have attained, we call to all our brothers, asking them to share our peace and consummate our joy. And now let us welcome Reverend Guy.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure it is for me to be here this evening, and thank you for coming out and visiting me. As you heard, my name is Reverend Guy Williams. I am the spiritual director at the Hilltop Center for Spiritual Living, which is in Fallbrook, California. And if you don't know where Fallbrook is, you are not alone. It is not a place that people get to by accident. But it is a lovely place. I moved up there, I took the pulpit there in 2005, and there's something magical about living in the sticks. One of the things that I learned is, that everybody that lives in the country is hiding something. But more than that, living in the country kind of creates a rhythm. And it's a rhythm because all of us understand that we have this rhythmic body. And there's something about feeling it and seeing it. I'm assuming that it's very similar to the coast. I remember when I lived at the beach, you could feel it. But it reminds me of the real essence of our teaching and the roots from where we come. There's something that happens to me around this time of year where my attention is drawn to the American transcendentalists. And it could be that last Sunday we celebrated the birthday of Ralph Waldo Emerson, who we know was such an influence on our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. But I can think back to when I was in high school, and during the summer, it was a time that I was awakened to the writings of Henry David Thoreau by reading On Walden Pond and On Civil Disobedience. I can remember there was a chapter in my life where after work I would go to the Carl Strauss Brewery on Carroll Canyon, and because it had a lovely koi pond and traffic was bad, and I spent a summer reading Moby Dick, which is really one of the most mystical of the Transcendentalists. And the Transcendentalists were these individuals that gathered together in the 19th century, and their home was in Concord, Massachusetts. Ralph Waldo Emerson was considered the father of American Transcendentalism. And they spoke in a compliment, but also an indictment to what was happening in our country and around the world as a result of industrialism. What we began to understand is that early on in the late 18th century, particularly during the time of Enlightenment, there was a sense that humanity was above the material world. We were masters of it. And we began to contemplate the universe as a vast clockwork, as Descartes would say. And that we saw that we had this mission then to subdue nature. But the cost of that was really the essence of soul. And so the American Transcendentalists really spoke to the quality of living a soul life, a life that is connected to the natural world, a life that is in essence an expression of the natural world. As I was reading your bulletin this evening, as I got here, in part of what we believe by Dr. Ernest Holmes, he says, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. That is pure transcendentalism, and I can't emphasize enough what a radical concept that is. That you, and you, and you, and the plants, and my dog, and all living things are revealers of truth. That the divine idea knows itself and expresses itself in all living things. That is a powerful, powerful concept. And we owe the experience of that in our lives really from the American Transcendentalists, particularly from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson spoke quite prolifically about how it is important for us to observe when we outsource the authority of our life to something outside of ourselves, and how important it is to remember the authorship, the authority of our own life. And he spoke many, many ways of saying this, but one of the things that he says in self-reliance is this. He says, he who would be a man or she who would be a woman must be a nonconformist. We must, if we are to live truly who we are, it is important for us to be a nonconformist. I don't believe that what Emerson is saying in this is that we are to be ruled by our senses and our desires and to simply write off what it means to be in community and to think only for ourselves. I think what he is saying is it is important for us to live authentically, because as he goes on in this lecture, he talks about how easy it is for us to be drawn away and the wonderful payments that we receive when we willingly give up the authorship of our life. He goes on to say that we live in a joint stock company whose main desire is to take our identity and to manipulate us into sort of becoming part of this great industrial machine. And so it was important for him to speak on that. And this word nonconformist, it means to not obey, to not get caught up into the world of appearances, but rather to listen to that still small voice which is within each and every one of them. I'm reminded of the words of St. Paul, who wrote in the book of Romans, where he says, and I will find it for you here, he says, do not be conformed by the way of the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern by testing what is the will of God, what is good, what is acceptable, and what is perfect. Do not be conformed by the way of the world. Do not become mesmerized. Do not become caught up in the way of the world. But be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may begin to discern through thinking the will of God for you. And what is God's will for each and every one of us? I believe it's two things, if not more. But I'll give it down into these two. The first is to be happy. The Dalai Lama was once asked, what was the purpose of life? And he says, the purpose of life is to be happy. Because when we are happy, it means there is one less soul that is suffering. When we are happy, it means the world has one less living being to worry about. So it is a great act of givingness to our world for us to experience our own happiness, to be happy. But what is that other thing, that happiness being a byproduct? What is the thing, the divine will itself? Again, if we think of the American Transcendentalists, or if we simply look into nature, and if we realize that everything is an emanation of this one infinite intelligence, what is its will? What is its impulse? What is that desire that is implanted in every living thing? To thrive. And so as Dr. Holmes goes on to say, the divine will, if we are wondering what God's will is for us, it is for us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. It is to thrive, to experience the fullness of life. Even the master teacher Jesus himself says, I came that you might have life and have it abundantly. And so we know, or we accept, then there's a sense that what we have come here to be is happy, and we experience happiness by living the full expression of who we've come to be, to thrive into the fullness of who we are and what we're all about. And what keeps us from that? What keeps us from thriving? I believe it's pain. I believe that we live in a world, in a culture, where there is so much pain that we're not even aware that we live in pain, because there are so many external things from the world that invite us to narcotize ourselves, to numb ourselves, to lull ourselves, that we don't even realize. And pain is that message within us that something is off. And what creates that pain is a sense that we are alone, that we're isolated. Dr. Holmes says that we can take any condition in our life and we can distill it down, and we can distill it down, and we can distill it down, and we will arrive at a belief in separation. And so, if separation is the cause of the suffering of the pain, it is the unification that really is that which heals us and restores us, because it is the perspective of our own self that truly heals us, and in doing so, heals the world. Let me give an example of that. 1988, in a little town called Lead, South Dakota. Ian Fraser, in his book, On the Res, tells the story of a group of Lakota Sioux girls. It was a basketball team. They were going to Lead, South Dakota to play a basketball game. And as there was their custom, they would enter into the gym by the tallest one first, and they would follow themselves down. Well, when they got to the gym, remember this is 1988 in Lead, South Dakota, a town that we would all love and adore and choose to be in. When they got to this town, the gym was full of people who were less than kind, waving food stamps, shouting racial epithets, being rude and intimidating to where these young girls were afraid to walk out on the court. Except one, a 14-year-old girl by the name of Sue Ann. And she walks out on the court, and what she does is she performs the Shaw dance of her ancestors. And she begins to dance. And then she begins to sing. She sings in the language of her ancestors, and she allows herself to be truly who she is in that moment. And the crowd cheered, and she transformed them. Needless to say, they won the game. But behind that, nobody in that room was ever the same. Victoria Safford writes of that account and other accounts. She says, "They will tell you that once you have glimpsed the world as it might be, as it ought to be, as it's going to be, however that version appears to you, it is impossible to live complicit and complacent in the world as it is." It is impossible to live complicit or complacent in the world as it is. Once we have had that experience of living our true self in all its beauty, in all its power, then it is impossible for us to go back unless we numb ourselves, unless we narcotize ourselves. But once we have tasted, and oh, by the way, anyone in our presence is just as transformed in the experience as we are having the experience. Young Sue Ann, in living in that moment, her authentic self created the opportunity for everyone in that room to have an experience of truth, of goodness, of beauty, of what was acceptable and what is perfect. She transformed a situation that was as things are to a place of possibility of how things could be. And this is the essence of the mystical teachings of Jesus. In the Gospel of Thomas, which was one of the Gospels that is contemporary to the traditional four in the Christian canon, there is the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of a series of other books that were written at that time. And in that Gospel, the disciples ask Jesus, "When will the kingdom come?" And Jesus answers, "The kingdom of heaven will not come by waiting." And then he goes on to say, "The kingdom of heaven is," present tense, "is spread upon the earth, and people do not see it." We are not waiting for some restoration to happen. We are transforming and renewing our mind so that when our perception of how things are shifts, the external begins to shift as well. It always does. Where our attention is defines what our intentions are, and what our intentions are defines who we are. Because we certainly aren't our past. That is a totally subjective experience. We certainly aren't our things. Living in Fallbrook, you learn that. A fire comes and your life is different. We're not our relationships. We're not even our body. What defines who we are? Where our attention is. What our intentions are. The Kabbalists say that when Moses has this great numinous experience with the divine, and he's about to go on a mission, and he asks God, "Who shall I say sends him?" And the divine name is giving, Yahadver Asher Yahadver, which is the verb, to be, present, future tense. What is the name of the divine? I am that I am becoming. Who is the essence of who we are? We are what we are becoming. And what are we becoming? We are becoming our intentions. Gary Zukav, in his book, Seed of the Soul, writes, every action, thought, and feeling is motivated by an intention, and that intention is a cause, and that exists as one with the effect. If we participate with the cause, it is not possible for us not to participate in the effect. And in the most profound way, we are held responsible for every thought, action, and feeling, which is to say, our every intention is what defines us. Every intention is what defines us. And so, the real perspective of healing then is then how we begin to define who we are, and that begins to create the lens by then which we see the world. And what Dr. Holmes encourages us is what he says, and what mystics in all ages have taught us is this, is do not be deceived by appearances. We distinguish what is good, what is acceptable, and perfect. In truth, what we begin to discern is what is true and what is real, because they're not the same thing. What is real are facts. Facts change on a dime. If science has taught us anything, it is this, that what we believe to be true is eventually proven wrong. Facts change. Truth remains. Truth exists at the level of the ideal. Truth remains. And so, in the readings for today, on this day, which are on page 212 in the Science of Mind text, Dr. Holmes writes, he says, healing is not creating a perfect idea or a perfect body. It is a revealing of an idea which is already perfect. Healing is not a process, it's a revelation through the thought of the practitioner to the thought of the patient. Healing is a revelation. It is an understanding. It is the thing where Dr. Holmes then goes on to say, he says, disease is a fact, but it's not a truth. It is an experience, but it's not a spiritual reality. We don't deny the flu, colds, disease. We don't deny the reality, but we know that what is true isn't necessarily true, because what is true? Life thrives, eternal, intelligence, always seeking expression, always not bound by conditions. So Dr. Holmes goes on to say in How to Talk to God, he says that the practitioner, which can be any one of us in this room, the practitioner sees the condition in their client and heals it within themselves, and in doing so transforms the client. In other words, how we begin to see things is how they are. So if someone comes to us for prayer for an illness, we don't deny the illness, but we deny it as a spiritual reality because we create the foundation of our superstructure in spirit in the truth that in God all things are possible. So you may be sick, you may be feeling the effect of something, but the greater truth is that there is a power and a presence that knows our own physical perfection. It is a fact that we are living on a planet where there is severe environmental degradation. It is a fact that we are living at the effect of catastrophic climate change. Those are facts. But what we know is if we try to address these things in facts, it's like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Because we try to fix this and that shows up. And if that shows up, this shows up. And if that shows up, that shows up. These are facts, but they aren't truth. What is truth? What is the spiritual reality in this that we must begin to incorporate or to perceive, which is what? That all life is interconnected. That all life thrives and is interconnected and works off and supports each other. And when we begin to have that revelation, there is no world hunger. When we begin to understand that we are connected to a planet, there is no environmental degradation. What is this perspective? It is the power of love. It is the power of love. That when we begin to incorporate that we are truly loved, when we begin to understand that we are the vehicle through which the planet is loved by us, we transform the world. This young woman, Sue Ann, loved herself to the point that in the presence of her loving herself, this room was transformed. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin writes, and Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a mystic, and he was a priest, and he was a poet, and I sure hope I can find that reading. I know that it's in, yeah. He says, someday after we have mastered the winds, the waves, and the tides and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. Then, for the second time in history of the world, humanity will have discovered fire. So we have, as Buckminster Fuller has said, we have already the technology to feed every living soul on this planet. Already the technology exists. It is not for lack of what we have that keeps us from the world that can be, but it is the pain of not experiencing the power of love that blinds our perspective from the world that can be, giving way to the world that is. And my invitation for us tonight is to ignite that fire within us of the power, the transformative power in love, which is the recognition that we are one with all living things. And in that fire, in that way, we transform the world. In closing, I'd like to share another story that happened on Sunday in my community. A couple of women in my community were going out to one of the local parks and having a picnic. And they had ordered a pizza, and they were eating their pizza, and they realized that they were kind of done. But they noticed off to the side four men who looked probably homeless and most likely intoxicated. And they were just kind of sitting off to the side. And they decided that they would offer them their pizza. And so last Sunday they walked up to them and they gave them napkins and offered them pizzas. And the men had tears welling up their eyes and thanked them. Those four men were Vietnam vets. And they were coming together to celebrate Memorial Day because nobody saw them. Those women, not knowing who they were, but simply seeing them for who they are, loving them as they are, and offering them a gift, saw them. Those men were transformed. They no longer lived in the world that was, but in the world that can be. It is as easy as that for each and every one of us to live authentically, powerfully, giving ourselves the gift of loving ourselves and loving the world around us, which gives us happiness, which transforms the world that we live. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Guy. And
Thank you. So now we meditate, yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm going to invite you to relax and sit in your chair. In the Kabbalah, it says that we should orient ourselves in relationship to the universe at least 5 times a day. So maybe you haven't done it 4 times already, or maybe you have 4 times set between now and the time you go to bed. But we'll take this time here. And how we start is simply by allowing ourselves to be fully aware that we are being supported by a chair or the floor, but that we can let go. Maybe for the first time today, we can give ourselves the experience of being supported. And all we need to do is breathe, to simply breathe, allowing the breath to sort of paint the lungs, allowing the breath to cool the mind, just noticing in our body where there's perhaps some fiber of some muscle that is tangled, and allowing the breath to untangle those fibers. Just being aware that we are here in this room with each other in this place at this time in this community, in this state, in this world, in this solar system, in this universe. Here we are. And we simply breathe, knowing intelligence is finding expression as us.
There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
So the sound of the voice and the sound of the activities around us, and just gently with the wave of the breath, allowing our attention again to go back to the breath, we allow ourselves to become fully present once again. We allow ourselves to be cognizant of the room that we are in, the people that are around us, the environment, how we feel. And when you are ready, with soft eyes and a smile on your face, to be fully present back into this room.
Oh, thank you, Guy.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Nice to be with you. And,
It's good being with you too.
yes,
It's
Guy and I go back quite a ways to the 90s with Reverend Kathy Hearn at Pacific Church.
Yes, back when giants walked the earth.
And so now this is the time of our service for our giving and receiving. And so if the ushers will come forward. And then we have a special guest of music with Mercedes this evening. So,
Did I just totally blow it with the discussion thing?
no, that's after.
Oh, that's afterwards. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe, right?
Well, it is tonight. So is there something, I bless and consecrate, yes? Okay, very good. Just point and I'll do it. I'm a minister. You just put a quarter in me and I go. But thank you. But giving and receiving is a powerful thing, as Jim says. It is allowing us to enter into the currency of flow. And so what I know in truth is that which we give in no way diminishes us. It is simply allowing Spirit to move through us to heal and transform the world. And we bless these gifts knowing that they are coming from a source that is greater than a job or an account or a trust fund. They are coming from the divine itself, moving through us as an activity and healing and nurturing and providing in this world. And so we consecrate these gifts that we give. May they bring light and love as they are spread upon the earth. And so what a privilege it is to participate in the awakening of consciousness, the healing of the infirmed, the transforming of the world. May all beings experience happiness and peace and goodness through this activity. Om Shrim Shri He Namaha.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy, I choose joy. When the world stops spinning round, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart is hard to move, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, oh, I choose joy.
3, 4.
When hate is all I see, I choose joy, I choose joy. When fear won't let me be, I choose joy, I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light from my eyes, I look up to the sky and I choose joy, I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, I choose joy, I choose joy. To be who I must be, for the light to shine in me, for all of us to be free. We choose joy, we choose joy. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. All right, Jim, let's play here. Yes, I choose. I didn't think I could choose, but I didn't even know I could choose. When I heard this song sung by Terry Wilder, she's a local musician here, I just fell in love with this song. And I just love singing it. All right. Find a stable ground, peace and hope abound. I hear a sweeter sound, the chains have come unbound. Love is all around when I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, I choose joy, I choose joy. Be who I must be, to find the light that's hiding in me. All I need to be, and I choose joy, oh, I choose joy. Everybody to be free. Won't you choose joy? Woo. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you. Perfect.
Lovely.
Thank you, Cole. All right, beautiful. And now we get to pass the microphone around.
And now we pass the microphone
Yes, we do.
around.
Beautiful.
Okay. Very good. And this is on, I'm assuming? Yes.
Yes, Melanie will, I think, make
Yes.
sure.
So do we have any takers, questions, comments, divine revelations, accusations, revelations? Is there one? Yes. You may ask. What is your name?
Nicolette.
Hi, Nicolette. That's a great name.
It's not much. Me and my mom have a friend, and he can't come, and I just like to say hi sometimes. So, hi, David.
Hi, David. Hi, David. Let's all say hi, David. Hi, David. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Nicolette. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your talk tonight. It was
You're welcome.
wonderful. So, 3 days ago, my daughter, who is going to college right now, said, "Oh no, it's not going to happen. They want one more class, and it's going to push me back, and I won't get my teaching job for an extra year, and we can't afford it." And I said, for every problem, there is a solution. We just don't know what it is. And today, the advisor for the college said, "You know what? You don't actually need those 2 classes. So A, you're saving $3,000, and B, you're saving 12 months of heartache." So there you go. Thank you, God.
Yay!
Great. That's wonderful.
Yay, reveal.
Anyone else? Yes.
You could probably hear me without the mic. I'm quite loud. Hi, I'm Terry. I wanted to know where you got your beads.
Where I got my beads. These are very special beads. They were a gift. They are red jasper, which has a lot of power and potency in them. And the beads themselves were purchased in the bookstore at our center, and they were strung for me by a woman up in Temecula.
So in Fallbrook.
In Fallbrook. You live in Fallbrook? Temecula.
I like them, and since you're not attached to material things, you should give those to me.
And because you aren't, you shouldn't ask for them. Yes.
So true.
Yes.
I just want to comment. I think you were preaching Quixote,
Preaching Quixote.
man of La Mancha.
Oh,
It is not the way things are. It is the way things should be.
absolutely.
He was fighting the windmills.
Right, Don Quixote. I do remember him. Yes, yes. And Sancho Panza. Yes, yes, I do remember. Yes. Yes. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes. Mercedes. And Mercedes and I realized that we've known each other since the 90s as well, when she was an infant.
I was an infant. I haven't seen you in 20 years, so it was a great honor to have
Thank
you
you
here today and for Jim inviting me up. I've been a rock and roll singer for a long, long time and a drummer. And I love singing the word. And for a really long time, I was in this faith tradition for many, many years and going to Agape and how you say revealing your true self. It was like I wanted to sing the word and these words. And for a really long time, it was just not in my agenda because I was singing for all these other people and other people's agenda and telling me what I had to do. And I just prayed on it and prayed on it and prayed on it. And this last couple of years, I've been singing in some of the religious science churches around town. And the reveal part was I can ask. And I don't have to be afraid to ask anymore.
Absolutely.
And so I really liked what you said today because it really felt like I am finally being my true self.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. And you know, in the mystical tradition, it is said that if the student doesn't ask the question, they're not ready for the answer. And so spiritual protocol is not to tell somebody, but to wait for them to ask. And Jesus says the same thing, right? In one of the Gospels, I think it's Matthew, he says, there are so many other things I would have told you guys, but you never asked. Yes. So asking is a powerful thing. So thank you all very much for your attention and your kindness. And I want to thank all the people that have been of support in the sound and the music and the lighting and guiding me through here. I just kind of walked in and they just sort of pointed me here and pointed me there. And I think I pulled it all off, didn't I? Thank you very much.
Beautifully.
So,
thank you, God.
Thank you, and if you ever find your way in Fallbrook and you wouldn't get there by accident, please come and visit us up there on the hill. But we are going to pray, and how we pray is we sing. It is our voice that we sing. So I invite you to stand, and we will pray our way out.
Yes, and Nicolette, you want to come out? You can come out. And so we know this, and we're all standing up. Okay, here we go. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. Our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We live our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. All right, well, thank you. See you in the back for fellowship. And next week, Sunny and Sunshine will be back, so they send their love. And Reverend Fran and the choir will be part of the service next week. And don't forget graduation Sunday, if there's anybody that you know and love that's going to be there. And then I'm going to sing a little. One life living is you and me. One light shining is you and me. One love loving is you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. One life living is you and me. One light shining is you and me. One love loving is you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out. I'm so happy, I just want to shout, woo! One life living is you and me. One light shining is you and me. One love loving is you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. One more time. One life living is you and me. One light shining is you and me. One love loving is you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. 'Cause God is all there is. Oh, we'll keep doing that. I'm shining from the inside out. I'm so happy, I just want to shout, woo! One life living is you and me. One light shining is you and me. One love loving is you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. 'Cause God is all there is. 'Cause God is all there is. Thank you. Thank you again, Mercedes, Cole, Melanie, Tim,
Thank you.
Ginny, and Guy Williams. Yay, yay. Prego, prego.